Do you need legal help at liquor store prices? Do you feel like you're going to lose a case because you can't afford an attorney? Did the court clerk tell you to go to self help and you needed help understanding self help? Or do you just want to know how to start a business or even a nonprofit? I have worked in the legal industry for over 20 years. I have a master's in business management, and I have provided consulting services to numerous law firms, businesses, and nonprofits. My name is Camila Hakim, and I'm here to help you. January 7, 2025, ferocious wildfires ravaged Southern California. Where are we now? Who is rebuilding those communities? Let's talk to the people that are going to restore our community. Today, we're welcoming special guest Leslie Mayer, Executive Managing Director at Cushman Wakefield and prominent board member at Habitat for Humanity LA, as well as Helen Dosta, VP of Resources at Habitat for Humanity LA. Let's get right into it. Hey, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Today, I always have this very upbeat attitude, and my show is known for high energy. But in truth, we're talking about a really serious topic, which is home development for our community and providing more resources for those that may not have access. Let's talk to you first, Leslie. Tell me a little bit about your career at Cushman Wakefield and what it is that you do there.
Well, I got into real estate because I love the idea of changing the landscape, of putting something that can be permanent, that will influence how people live, how they work, how they shop, and that will be something that will be a monument to time if well done and influence communities and generations as well. So that was my interest in real estate. And that's how I got into it, which ties in very well with Habitat, which is also doing the same thing
Yes,
on a home
how did you get involved with Habitat?
Well, one of the things that Habitat is so brilliant at is creating not only communities with the homeowners, but also within the professional communities to tap people that have resources, contacts, and knowledge that can bring together both on an executive level, it trickles down then into the families in the building. So I was fortunate enough to be invited and included as a board member right during COVID, actually, and have never looked back. It's been the perfect marriage of my professional and personal goals. And to be able
Wonderful.
to do that and seamlessly do it in a way that ties into my city, my profession, and touching people's lives that you both meet and never meet is just, it's like a legacy play that just,
Ah,
you can't
I
explain
love the
it.
way you phrase that. And Helen, how did you decide to come and work for such a huge nonprofit organization? What inspired you to do that? Was this a strategic career move, or is this something that you've always wanted to do?
Actually, it was an accident. So I
Oh,
had quite an interesting story in my journey to Habitat and through Habitat. I actually was in grad school at USC and I was studying to be a diplomat. So my goal was to actually be an ambassador and travel to different countries and work on communication between countries. And so I had just graduated, and one of my colleagues and peers had mentioned maybe you might want to try Habitat LA and see if there's some work you can do there. And so I was looking to dabble a little bit in nonprofit just to get my feet a little wet and then start traveling the world. And so for me, once I found Habitat, I just have never looked back.
wow.
It's been a true love affair with me and the mission. And along the way, we've met wonderful people like Leslie, other great corporate partners, individual donors, and volunteers. And I just have never looked back.
Thank you for that. Some of my viewers may not know
Mhm.
what Habitat for LA is. Can you explain it?
Sure. Yeah. So our mission is to build homes, communities, and hope. We have over 1,400 affiliates. We're in over
1,400? That's
1,400
huge.
worldwide,
You guys are
and we're in over
huge.
70 countries.
Okay.
And so Habitat LA is one of the larger affiliates, especially here in the United States. And we've been here since 1990. So in the last almost 35 years now, we have built over 1,300 homes. We either built, repaired, or rehabilitated over 1,300 homes in the local area.
Wow, and my understanding is that Habitat for Humanity is sort of the catch-all, but you all have several programs.
Mhm.
Can you just kinda give us a high level of the various programs that Habitat offers?
Sure. I think one of the first things that people think about when they think about habitat is new construction. So where we're building from the ground up from scratch. We also have critical home repair where we are working with aging adults, typically folks that are
Mm,
living in on fixed incomes where they don't have the financial or physical means to upkeep or maintain their home. So we come in, we do a lot of ADA compliant repairs. We'll put wheelchair ramps. We'll bring their bathrooms up to code so that they're able to age in place.
and, what is that program called?
Critical home repair.
Critical home repair. Okay,
Yeah, underneath the umbrella of our home preservation. So the program's called home preservation, but is underneath.
understood,
Mhm,
and I think, you previously informed me that there is actually a division for Veterans
mhm.
Affairs. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so our veterans program is across all of our programs. So new construction, home repair, loans, they're all part. We all work with veterans across the board. But specifically in our home preservation program, we do have an area where we are focused on veteran housing, and so a lot of veterans are. Very prideful at times. And so they have a lot of work on their homes that they may need help with. And so we want to work with that population to help ensure that they are receiving the repairs that are needed for them to be able to be comfortable in their home.
That makes sense. In Southern California, something that is highlighted right now is how are we rebuilding the community since the wildfires in
Right.
Southern California? How is Habitat addressing that particular issue?
Right. So when the fires first hit, our phase one, if you will, was immediate need, and so that had a lot to do with providing gift cards, grocery store gift cards, things that helped folks be able to get toiletries, clothing, just
Blankets, right?
blankets.
They didn't
Right.
have some of the basics. I can
Exactly.
remember these drives would be reported on the news where they'd be just collecting the basic
Right.
necessities for folks. And this was in the Palisades area
Hmm.
as well as Altadena. And
Hmm.
I happen to know a lot about the Altadena community because I went to high school in that area. So just looking at the devastation of that area, I thought, wow, the high school that I went to, how is that being affected? How are my friends' homes being affected? So, which particular regions is humanity habitat focused on? Is it Palisades? Is it Altadena? Both? How do you decide?
Yeah, so the Palisades are in our service territory. So we partnered to be able to work together to serve all the communities that need the support.
Got it. And how do people like Leslie and I help? Like, Leslie, can you tell me specifically how you are helping with this challenge? Not
Sure,
just the wildfires,
sure,
but overall.
Housing in Los Angeles is a pivotal conversation that once it's solved, if ever, will be a godsend. But for now, just the housing element, whether you're renting, whether you're buying, whether you're having to move home with your parents because you don't have a job, whether you are homeless because it was situational versus a choice. Our mission, again, and our platform is to create home ownership or keep people who are in homes or have lost homes in their homes. to improve their lives so that it creates that generational wealth. And the big tragedy for the Eaton fires, aside from the complete devastation of an entire community, is the fact that you had multiple generations living at times in the same household. And
Mm,
unfortunately, they did not have the resources that perhaps other people might have: the architect, the banker, the insurance agent, the contractor, the blueprints. So they were really lost in the whole shuffle. So we have come in both Palisades and the Eaton area collectively to try and underwrite, subsidize, support, educate these people that have been affected so devastatingly in a way that they can try and rebuild their lives without scattering.
Right.
And that's
yes,
really what we're
yes.
trying to do, is keep
Yeah.
people in place in their homes or provide that home. And
Mhm,
again, it just goes back to the word home is such a loaded word because it means
mhm,
anything that a home is not necessarily home ownership. It's where you go, whether it's where your heart is, whether it's where you're going home to, whether you're running away from, whether you're looking forward to going back, whether you're homesick, whether whatever it is. The word home is such a loaded question for so many people. But when you
Mhm.
embrace it through the habitat lens, it becomes this welcoming, supportive, warm,
Safety,
secure
security.
future.
I am so glad that you clarified the distinction between affordable housing and homelessness. I'll share with you a little bit about my background. At one point, my family, when I was a teenager, we found ourselves homeless. And we moved into the back house of a family friend that had a horse stable. And so my family, and I know you, that rings a bell for you because you love
I
horses.
do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Jesus was born in a manger. Just saying.
there you go. There you go.
Just saying.
And so we were very fortunate that, for lack of a better way of putting it, although we were grateful, it was essentially a one room shack.
Mhm.
And so my 2 sisters and my brother and my mom and dad shared this one-room shack for well over a year and slept on the hardwood floors, um, but it was shelter. So there are
And you were together.
and we were
Mhm.
together, home. And but Altadena was such a beautiful community. Even though that was our family's condition, what was amazing is we were around horses. There was swimming. There was nature. We could go on nature walks. But the point that I'm making is that there are different levels for people where affordable housing is concerned. My family could not afford and did not have the credit in order to rent a place for such a large family. So, Leslie, I know you can talk a lot about that because you're also in the real estate business. So, when you talk about affordable housing, are you going to deny someone like my family was because they had bad credit and they didn't have
Sure.
down payment? They didn't have, the 40% down. How do
Well,
you deal with that?
so it's a great question. And that's, again, one of the pivotal things that Habitat does. We encourage and educate families on how to negotiate and navigate the very challenging process to ensure that you have good credit, to understand what's involved in getting a home loan. All of the things that even somebody at my level, if I don't do it on a regular basis, which I don't, most people don't buy a house frequently, if at all. And that is still a challenge for me as well. So you have to go to your professionals. But that's different for me to pick up the phone versus somebody who may not understand the different opportunities or options. Maybe they don't necessarily speak English as well, perhaps, or they're not
Mhm.
financially astute. So we actually have programs to target people that would otherwise be disenfranchised and marginalized because feeling intimidated or not knowing who to call. We have platforms and programs to bring them in and educate them. And again, one of the things that we do, and this is why we're so successful and people love us, is we create this platform for people to own their own homes. That doesn't mean that they'll necessarily make it the first or second time, but what happens is when people see the opportunity and the benefits, they throw in and they're with us. They're best ambassadors going forward because they go back to their communities and pull people in and say, look what
Mhm.
I did, you can do this too.
And you're kind
Right.
of getting those folks ready.
Precisely. It's like going to school, right? You wouldn't take
Yeah.
somebody from kindergarten and suddenly put them in junior high and say, okay, why can't you do the math? Right?
Right.
It's an educational process and it's done in an appropriate way. So you're not pushing someone into something they're not prepared for. But again, as you were saying earlier, the beauty of your situation is probably how your parents presented it
Yeah.
and also the fact you were together.
Yes.
When we see these stories for a lot of these candidate families and you see how they've been living with their children and partners scattered all over the place because they can't find enough room for everyone to live together and the quality of the situations that they're living in, it's devastating until you can actually see when you can give them a home where they can all be together, something brand new that's theirs. Words cannot express the emotions and the feelings that come out of that, not just from them, but from everyone involved. And it's mind blowing.
I feel emotional just hearing you talk about that because it takes me back to that time and that feeling of hopelessness
Mhm.
and just hoping that one day we were going to pull ourselves out of that condition.
And look where you are.
And look where I am in Century
There's something
City.
about those
I,
mangers.
I've got a show. I'm a,
But you know
all
what?
these amazing
Let Helen
things.
tell you more too, because I just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
touched on the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Camille, I completely understand your story.
Yes.
Have a very similar story. So, for us, we came together. So, we were new to the country. We didn't have resources. We came with just a clothes on our back. My mom's side of the family shared a shelter with her sister's family. So, it was
Mhm.
very tight. We had uncles that were also staying with us. So, it was a very tight space. And as a child growing up in that, I didn't know any different. It was just warm, it was cozy, and it was home. It was safe and it was secure. But of course, as an adult, I saw what that situation
Yes.
really was about. And again, our parents presented it in such a way where we felt safe.
Yeah, so
So
how do you find families? Or
mm,
how did they find you?
yeah.
Because I had no idea. I'm sure my family had no idea at that time that there might be a resource that they can go to
Mhm.
help with their situation. So how did they find you or what is your outreach?
Yeah. So typically, we have families that find us all kinds of ways. But usually, when we know that we're building a new development in a certain area, we will start canvassing that particular neighborhood. And we'll knock on doors. We'll let them know that we're going to be coming into the neighborhood.
You just
We'll
walk into the
we just walk
neighborhood
into the neighborhood. We knock on doors.
and
We let them
someone
know.
feels like they won the lottery because Helen knocked at the door? Like
Well, actually, we're faced with a lot of times we're faced with a lot of distrust. And so there's folks that are like, why are you here? What's the catch? What is this program? What is it real? And so one of the misconceptions is that people assume that the program is a giveaway program.
Mm.
And it definitely is not. And so we definitely partner with our home buyers to go along with them on the homeownership journey. And so back to us finding them. So we're canvassing the neighborhood, letting them know we're coming in town. There's going to be a lot of noise coming up pretty soon. We apologize. It's really working inside the community so that they're both familiar with us. They understand who we are. They know that the program is also inclusive of them. Any one of them can apply. And then we have information sessions. And so in those information
Like
sessions
a workshop, you
exactly.
come in
You
and
you
what
you get
Leslie
information
was
about
saying,
exactly.
you're teaching us, you're
Right.
educating.
Right. So we
Okay.
let them know that there's going to be 8 new homes in the neighborhood. This is the program. These are the requirements. These are the expectations. This is the process. And so a lot of times folks come in, they're curious, what do we do? How do we get a free house?
Uh-huh.
All of those questions come into play and they learn about that.
Leslie, what really drew you to Habitat? I know that there's a natural synergy between you being in the real estate industry and Habitat's mission, but what is it that just drew you and said, I am going to volunteer and this has staying power and I'm passionate about this?
That's actually a great question. And it sort of ties into what Helen just said, where once you're exposed to the program and the opportunities and you see the results, you just can't, you're compelled. I don't know how else to say it. You feel like you're home. You have found your home. And that's truly the underlying word for everything Habitat does. It's about creating home, not only physically for the home ownership prospects, but also rebuilding homes, providing opportunities, empowering people to take charge of their futures for not only themselves, but for their children, creating a platform for generational wealth, but also creating a home and a synergy and a community and family, not only within the people that work there, not only on the board, but professionally. But we've created this viral community that's not just here in Los Angeles, but globally.
But how do you have time to do all of that, as well as run your career and you're volunteering, you're sitting on several boards? I happen to know that you're also a woman of achievement. I think that was 2022 for Century City Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Correct.
How do you accomplish so much?
Well, I think everyone in Los Angeles today, because it's a yabba dabba doo city, has found
Okay,
a
what is that?
way.
I haven't heard that. Yabba dabba doo.
Well, it just means people are constantly in motion. We're cross pollinating all the time. It's very much an out and about city because of our weather. We've got the entertainment capital here. So people are very informed. They want to know. There's a fear of missing out.
Uh-huh.
But I think more importantly, as everyone you'll meet that's involved with Habitat, we're all passionate about what we're doing. So it's not a sacrifice, it's actually a joy, it's a pleasure. It's something we look forward to, whether it's a bill day or a board meeting or interviewing candidates or delivering houses. It's there's really no part of what is involved with this organization that people don't just they just smile at. You mentioned the word habitat to anybody on the street, they will either have done a build, wanted to do a build, know somebody who's done a build already. They just know it stands for something amazing. And even if they can't articulate exactly what it is, they just smile because they just know the results are that pivotal and that
You make time for
yes,
what means something to you, what's
sure.
important to you. Helen, now that I know that Habitat actually has workshops that educate those and takes them through the process, it makes me feel really good that no one is being left behind.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a success story from any one of Habitat's programs? And I'll just interject quickly. I went out, I volunteered, and I was at what you call a restore
Mhm. Yeah.
location. And so we were, essentially just building walls.
Mm.
And it felt so good because I actually had a saw in my hand, believe it or not. They trusted me and I felt so good. And then I had my hammer and nails. And then I looked at a wood panel that had the name of a family
Mhm.
that was going to have this home when we were
That
done.
has your wall in it.
I got chills. So maybe you don't know that success story, but if you can tell me a success story about a family that received one of these homes.
Yeah, no, there's so many. I've been with Habitat for uh, over 12 years now, almost 13 years. And throughout all those years, you can imagine all the stories I've collected along the way. But one of the first homes that I worked on myself when I first came to Habitat, I did electricity.
You
So
did?
I went and wired the entire home. So
Did
Kudos
you
to
have
you.
Mr. Mark training you? I call him
We had
Mr. Mark. He wouldn't give me his last name for good reason.
our
Probably his own
construction
profession.
staff is
Yeah.
excellent, excellent at what they do. So yes, yes.
Yeah.
But so speaking of that project, not that one particularly, but during that time was one of the first families I met, was actually a single mom, and we were building her home in Long Beach. She had 2 kids, another one on the way.
Ah,
And so we were building a 3 bedroom, 1 bath home for her. Very modest home in Long Beach. And one of the things that I noticed, every time I was out on the site, I would see her out there building alongside the rest of us and volunteers and and
wow.
and
So
staff.
she became a volunteer.
She was a
She
volunteer
received
and she was building on
and
her
then she
own
gave
home.
back.
And so I got to know her a little bit more and learned a little bit about her story. And I found out that during the day she was volunteering with us, and then she would leave to go home, and she would pick up the kids from school. She would make dinner for them and got them prepared and ready for bed, and then she was off to go to her full-time job
Wow.
at night at a retail store. And so she was done, she did the night shift, and then when she's done, she came back home in the morning, got the kids ready for school, took them off to school, and then came to a Habitat site, her home, and started working on her home.
It's
And
now
she did
her
that for
passion.
3 months.
Whoa.
3 months, and we completed. So typically a new construction home takes about 18 months for us to build, with volunteers, and with her home, it was a little bit more, accelerated, so we completed it within 3 months, and so she was there from day 1 to the last day. And so we
That's an amazing story. And I noticed something similar when I used to volunteer to help the homeless center in San Fernando Valley. A lot of the people that we fed, and when they were able to reestablish themselves and get on their feet, would come back and
Mhm,
serve with us.
yep.
So that's perfect. Helen, tell me about the program for rebuilding.
Yeah. Rebuild LA is an initiative that came exactly from the wildfires
It was born
January.
out
It
of
was
that.
born out of the
Okay.
wildfires, yes. And so our focus now, we are in the mid to long term phase, where we are providing accelerator funds that helps accelerate the process for folks to be able to go back into their home quicker.
Yeah,
So whether
love
it's
that.
any barriers that will help them get back into their home. So if it's providing funds to support a permit, or doing some remediation for them, what the case may be. The grants are typically around the $10,000 range.
Okay.
And then we're also providing smoke remediation. We're doing home repairs and full rebuilds. So we are currently assessing projects right now, working with homeowners to be able to get them through the process,
Uh-huh.
and assess what the damage is, and come up with a plan for them. So we have already finished our first home repair in the Palisades, and so the project was in a senior community, and so they were actually not damaged specifically from the fire,
It
but
was the smoke.
because of all the water that was coming down,
Mm.
they experienced a mudslide. And so
Oh,
it wiped out
yes.
the entire community, and so we came in and we worked on one of the projects in that community, and we're working with other homeowners in that area to be to do some more home repair projects.
Oftentimes, we don't think about the residual effects, the effects of one disaster leading to another.
Mhm.
And so it's amazing that Habitat is addressing both. They're not limiting their help to, well, your house, wasn't a part of the fires, but maybe it was part of a flood.
Right.
So
That
I
was a
I
direct result of
appreciate.
that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And Leslie, is there something that you want us to know about a particular program, or something, a specific initiative, or that might be
Well,
coming up?
it's a great question. Again, the Habitat umbrella is providing home ownership from new construction with the different programs Helen mentioned, which are very impactful and powerful for the people that are taking advantage of them. The rebuild, again, was not something that we had scheduled or planned, but we've taken it on because unlike other charitable organizations or situational organizations, we're here for the long term. The rebuild program will easily go 3 to 5 years, if not longer. And there's a patchwork of different opportunities for people to work with different agencies to try and help put their lives back together. But we're a platform, we're a foundation, we are solid, we're not going anywhere, we're local, and you can pick up the phone and talk to someone. So it's a much different resource than just feeling like you're going into a blind pool where maybe you'll get a call back someday.
And Leslie, I know you have information about how we can help. You're a volunteer, you're a passionate board member. How can you bring in more volunteers from firms, real estate agencies, corporations? How can we help?
Whether it's to volunteer, whether it's to donate money, whether it's to get involved in a build day, which can be corporate, it can be people do it for their birthdays instead of having
Yes.
birthdays somewhere else. They do it.
Can we have
Right.
margaritas on the
I know.
restore site from
Yes.
birthday? Can we?
But to your point, people feel empowered themselves because it's a way to bring together a group of friends or business associates knowing nothing about construction, most of us, and you actually do something. I mean, it's all safe and supervised, but when you know at the end of the day you've built a wall or you've put in drywall or you've nailed something down or assembled a cabinet, that is part of someone's home for decades to come, and you did it. As an adult, we tend to live our lives in a sheltered way where we don't put ourselves out too much to
Mm,
try something
mhm.
new. But when you get a group of people together with an initiative and you become a unit for one day, it's empowering and exponentially larger. But even on a small basis, you can do everything from donating money, donating time as a volunteer. We have the restores, as you mentioned, where people provide good condition used home furnishings and culinary things, which are sold at the restores. We get decorators, we get hotel people, office people, people remodeling their homes. So
Mhm.
anything and everything, and that stuff.
And
We have a
it's gently
website.
used stuff,
Yeah, no,
right?
And some
it's
new.
and some new,
And
actually a
some
lot of
new.
it new. We get retail stores that donate things. So you walk in and you feel like you won the lottery because the things
Mhm.
you're buying at the prices are fantastic, and then the money goes right back into the program. So there's that. Also sharing this podcast with your social network or your
Yes.
business network is huge because
Share,
it's viral.
like, anyone watching this program, make sure that you are tagging folks that can help. We can all help with this situation, especially the wildfires.
It takes a village.
Just
Yep. Yes.
okay.
So again, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you find something you're inspired by and are passionate by and make a contribution, whatever that is. But of course, we would love it to be habitat because it is fundamentally life-changing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you,
And
Camilla.
we'll have to have a sidebar conversation about those horses. We didn't get to touch on that, but I want to thank all of you for joining us on this podcast today. I am so passionate about the idea and programs helping folks that need affordable housing, especially in California. It's expensive. It's expensive to rent, and we are far away from the dream of home ownership here in California. We need to do something about it. So, volunteer, get involved with Habitat. There are many, many ways that your voice can be heard. Thank you for joining and tune in again. So, Liquor Store Legal will continue to bring resources to your community.